this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
March is the month when we finally move past the reset phase and actually make things happen. So let's do this. If you've been dreaming about starting your own business, Shopify makes it easy. Already running a business? Trust me, Shopify can handle it all. And it grows with you. That's why I moved my stores over there. When we decided to put browngirlgrinding.com on Shopify and sell our merch and update you guys on the news, it was so easy. I never doubted that the website would work because of how easy it was to set up. No matter how big or small your business is, Shopify helps you keep the momentum going this month. And that's what March is all about. It's time for you to invest in your own business, not someone else's for a change. Head on over to shopify.com/BEN and see what it feels like to be the one in control of your future.
Pressure has a way of revealing what remains steady. In the latest Nissan campaign, the Nissan Rogue was tested to the extreme to demonstrate that it's built to last through durability and reliability challenges inspired by real tests conducted by Nissan engineers. Brutal potholes, a steady force of water, even a jet-powered sandstorm. Each challenge inviting a deeper look at how quality, durability, and reliability hold their ground in real-world conditions. Every test was 100% real. No CG, no AI. To see how the Rogue held up, visit Nissan-durability.com.
Let's keep it real. Tax season doesn't have to be a whole thing. Not when you're using Intuit TurboTax. With TurboTax Expert Full Service, you get matched with a real tax expert who handles your taxes for you, start to finish, and you're not left guessing. You get real-time updates right on your phone while your expert checks every deduction and credit to help you get that possible outcome. Just hand off your documents to your expert in app or in person and they'll keep it moving. Don't overthink it. Let TurboTax handle it. Visit TurboTax.com. Real-time updates are available in the iOS mobile app.
This is Angela Yee from Angela Yee's Lip Service. 1 in 4 people in the U.S. has been to a Planned Parenthood health center for life-saving, life-changing care. We're talking about birth control, annual exams, cancer screenings, STI testing and treatment, and more. High-quality, expert, judgment-free care. And despite lawmakers' efforts to shut them down, they're not going anywhere. Care continues at Planned Parenthood so that you can get the unbiased, high-quality health care that you need. To learn more, visit I'm4PP.org.
Remixing your idea as to what a strong Black woman is set up for depression.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Welcome to the Black Mother Wound Podcast, a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio, where we center the stories of Black women as we heal from the painful relationships with our mothers. Welcome to the Black Mother Wound Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Arnese. Welcome back, y'all. If you listening, I got something for you. But if you watching, you already know. We have an in-person guest in the Black Mother Wound Podcast studio. Y'all know I'm so excited because I usually be here by myself, but I'm here with somebody. Okay, let me contain myself. Today, I'm going to be professional. Y'all ready for me to be professional? Okay, here we go. Today, we're talking about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention. What it's like to grow up with a mother who's struggling with depression and how that shapes who we are as Black women. That's what we're going to talk about today, y'all. I skipped all the small talk so we can get right and get all the juice. Okay. My guest today is Dr. Christin Haynes, a social work scholar and researcher whose work focuses on Black womanhood, family dynamics, and emotional inheritance between mothers and daughters. That's deep already, child. Her research, Daughters of Depression, looks at how maternal depression shapes identity, coping patterns, and the pressure many Black women feel carrying the strong Black woman role. Her work also explores something I think that's really powerful, the connection between emotional coping, cultural food traditions, and how many Black women learn to manage pain, stress, and silence through food. So she's going to come back because we're going to talk about food in another episode, okay? Because I know I'm an emotional eater, child. So we'll get back to that. I'm very excited about this conversation. I'm very excited to have you here. I know her in real life. This is my Bookie Boo. I don't even remember how we met. Did we meet through Misha?
No, we met on the internet.
Just randomly?
No, I think it was with a study.
No.
It was before
but somebody introduced us.
Somebody did introduce us, and they said, my friend does something with black mother wound. You should reach out to her.
Who is it, though? That's crazy.
It was meant to be, girl.
It was meant to be. Listen, y'all, that part might get set out. I don't know. But this is my Bookie Boo in real life. I love her. So we're going to have this conversation, and I'm really happy that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Girl, you already know. Okay, this is a total different dynamic doing an interview because I forgot y'all was here. And we were just talking. But let me get back. I'm being professional, y'all. So first question I want to ask you about is what first drew you to studying the emotional relationship between Black mothers and daughters?
Okay, so first, before I answer this question, I want to say I have already talked to my mom about this. My mother knows what I'm about to come and say. Because in the Black community, we are taught, don't tell my mama's business. And so, but my mama's business is my business because what happened in her life shaped mine. And so what drew me to this topic was my own experience. My mother, through my life, has had her battles with depression. And coming up as a millennial 80s baby, I knew something was off. I could see her struggling. But yet it was something that when I talked about it, I was scolded. And I realized how those early experiences really shaped who I was as a woman. And as I began to peel it back, I was like, there were no books. Mm-hmm. There were no podcasts. This was something that wasn't being talked about. And so I said, if I'm going to do a PhD, I might as well do it on something that's going to matter to me. Because why go through that type of abuse? and it doesn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, that's what drew me.
Was she aware of her being depressed? Did she know?
I think my mom always knew that something was off. But when you have to think about my mom and who raised her. Mm-hmm. So listen, I'm Big Lou versus baby. That's my grandma. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother they're the silent generation. She was born in the Depression. They aren't ones that say, I love you. My grandmother was an educated woman. So my grandmother's a God-fearing woman. And so when you're thinking about the intergenerational aspect of my mom understanding what was wrong with her, she saw it as a deficit. Oh. She didn't have enough faith. She wasn't resilient enough.
Something was wrong with her, which brings shame.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's like she's different from everyone else, and it's something that she should be able to fix.
Yeah.
From being a better daughter, or having more faith, working harder, things like that. Okay.
Yeah. And so I think that she knew. She went and got some help, but you got to think too, psychotropic medication has evolved rapidly over the last 10 years. We have so much science that can help us, but there wasn't a lot of drugs out.
Right.
And so when you try it, you feel a little bit better. Oh, I'm good. Your levels level out. Then you stop taking it and you crash.
Right, yeah. And then there's still the silent shame that you need this because you should be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially if God didn't fix it, then it must be your fault.
Exactly.
And
so imagine carrying that on top of everything else. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my mom, I commend her. Having a daughter like me and asking the questions that I've been asking my whole life, I think that her healing, some part of her healing came through me doing this work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. Especially if there's still a connection that you all have. Was that what it was?
So I think with my mom and I, it's a very interesting dynamic. I love my mother. But as a baby, birth order matters.
Birth order matters too.
As a baby, you are privy to learn from the faults of the older, but you have a different vantage point and lens. And I think that my mother's and our relationship, in my immaturity, I was very like, you should be able to do this. You should be able to do that. I was very hard.
Yeah.
But I think that came from a hurt space.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because we have her on a pedestal. The mother is always on a pedestal, which objectifies her. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you can't be weak. You can't not know.
Grandma.
But
My grandma do it.
right, yeah. So, and you should be the ultimate authority.
Yeah.
So why don't you get this right then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think a big part of with my mom was that, and this is something I will talk a little bit deeper later, but she recognized the signs in me of having depression. And so a part of my healing really was on the back of hers, because if she wouldn't have recognized what she had going on when depression did hit me at 16, my first onset was 16, that she wouldn't have been able to guide me, because she sent me to get help without me knowing.
Wow.
She said,
That's a gift.
Yeah. So I think all of this work kind of
folds in together. It's legacy work. It is absolutely legacy work, because the next generation will never be what was before.
No, and I think our relationship over time has allowed me to see that it's legacy work.
Yeah.
Because being very critical of her and then having my own depression onset multiples over the years where I was not my best. And that I needed grace and I needed space, and I had to go and do some apologizing for how I was showing up. It made me have to realize that even as I grew into being a woman, she was doing the best that she could with what the tools she had.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't take away from
it doesn't take away from a lived experience. I think what makes your conversation different, a lot different than mine, is that my mother never turned the corner.
Yeah.
Because I know my mother struggled and probably still struggles with mental and emotional wellness.
Yeah.
And a lot of my audience didn't have the mother and don't have the mother who has taken the turn, so that is really to be able to see all this happen in one generation while both of y'all are still alive and healthy is really amazing. Yeah. You know what I mean? That is really a blessing in so many ways.
Yeah, I think so. Recently, we buried our matriarch, and my mom, who has been caregiving for the last 3 years after losing my dad, the same year her mom's dementia went, and she's been caregiving. And when my matriarch passed, my mom was so tired. I was there for a month, but she's up. One hospice is in one room, and she's up, and I just realized this is a lot. And so for her, even to be able to acknowledge some things and to turn that corner, for me to be able to step in. So I know a lot of your audience members, your moms are still in that space where my pride, because really it's pride. My pride is, I'm going to die with this pride, versus being able to admit weakness and to say, I may not have done things the right way.
Right.
So you can step in and to be that daughter that she needs. Because I know she needs you.
Right. But she set an example. You know what I mean? And I think that is really something to look at, because I talk about decentering the relationship with the mother and centering the relationship with yourself. But she did give you some example of how she had to center herself in order to get help. You know what I mean? So I think even in that, how we can learn from them. And the pride is so rooted in the shame.
It is.
Because they think I'm not good enough. So the admission of weakness is actually the admission of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say the Black mother wound is different than a regular mother wound, because that lack of humanity is so rooted in systematic racial oppression.
Yes, it is. And we can't throw in gender oppression.
The intersection of gender oppression and racial oppression. Yeah. How both of those set an impossible marker for Black women that no one else has to live up to. And so, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So next question. Your research centers on daughters of depression. What does it mean to grow up with a mother who may have been experiencing depression, but didn't have the language to name it or even know that it's an issue?
Okay, so thank you. First, I want to thank all the women who did the Daughters of Depression study, because I spoke to women from all over the country, even some who didn't make the study who were like of Caribbean background, and we all have the same story. And what I find is that when you grow up with a mother who's perceivably depressed and your relationship to a strong Black woman starts very early, you become a strong Black girl. And being a strong Black girl is based on a lack of vulnerability because of the instability and the care your mother provided for you. And so if you've ever needed somebody to do something for you and they tell you no, I just do it myself. I know that is one of my battles that I fight. And I recognize that started early because the disappointment of needing somebody, particularly your mother, who society and everything tells you is supposed to be there, and she can't show up how you need her to show up or show up consistently, then you're just going to rely on yourself. So you have strong Black girls. You also have young girls who, when they did experience an early depression onset, they actually did what they saw their mothers do, but they actually chose, after they did that, they realized it didn't work. So that was either overeating, shopping, being aggressive, all of those things. If they saw this isn't working, they went and got a therapist. Mm-hmm. I think another good finding that we have, which I think is very interesting, is that the women who grew up with mothers who are perceivably depressed have a different view on religion than their mothers and religious coping.
That's a whole nother show.
I'm just trying to tell you.
The correlation between mental illness, depressiveness, and religion.
So what I am going to say is that religion in the research shows up as both a protective factor and it also shows up as a risk factor.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how I remember one particular woman in the study said, we went from not going to church to going 3 to 4 times a week when my mom was losing the house.
Listen.
So here we are. Life is happening. The only thing that you've been taught or we've been shown is to lean into God. And so you're leaning in, your house is in foreclosure, your life is spiraling, you're going to church and you're showing up. Can you imagine on our mother's side too, the disappointment?
When God didn't show up the way. We were in church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night prayer service, and Saturday we did missionary work at the rest home and the jail. And my mother didn't take me to no babysitter because she was most of the time scared that someone's going to do something to me. So I was there for all of this. And I look at religion like food. Like you have to have food, but food can be something that's helpful or it can be harmful. Having something to believe in can be helpful and it can be harmful. And I'll go back to systematic racial oppression. I'll go back to chattel slavery. Our religion, I'm not going to say religion, colonialized Christianity was given to families as a coping mechanism. So even then, you had to train your mind that I'm not a human being, that it's okay that I'm treated this way. In order to maintain that, they had to give you something else to believe. But your original belief about your lack of humanity is so off that your compass is off in the way you look at religion. You can't have an accurate view of religion when you don't have an accurate view of yourself as a person.
So I'm going to push back
a
little bit. And I would say when it comes to like religion, we're not here for history, but I think that our humanity within our religious systems, that's why our spirituality looks a little bit different, particularly those of us in the South. We found our humanity in religion, I believe. And we found in the stories in the Bible, the persecution and that God was redemptive. We found those little in the brush arbors on the plantations or in the makeshift churches, they had the mourner's bench. And that was a place where it was okay for you to come and scream and wail. We found a place to lay our burdens down. And so when we think about our mothers and the use of religion, well, your mothers, and also too, what society tells us about religion and women, that we are the ones who uphold the church. We do all these things. So you forget about yourself and you lean all the way into these systems and they're supposed to be rewarded. And if your reward doesn't come now, your reward comes in heaven. But you lean into this, and especially when you are depressed, I'm just going to keep showing up for God,
Doing my part.
and God's going to do their part. But thus we have what we have today.
Right. And I think, for me, because I have a lot of religious trauma.
I understand, me too.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
That in our home, there was no redemption except through death. You know what I mean? And you had to be responsible so early on. The strong Black girl had to be so responsible so early on that I think that goes back to how the strong Black girl is created.
This is the moment everyone in business has been waiting for. AI is rewriting the rules, and if you're not ahead, you're already behind.
Here's the reality. AI is moving fast, really fast. Hey, it's Dean Graziosi, and a lot of people think they have years to figure AI out. The truth is, you might only have months, maybe less. I've never seen technology move this quick before. Right now, AI is helping people save hours every week, automate work that slows them down, and move faster than ever. But here's the challenge. Most people feel overwhelmed trying to figure out what makes sense for them.
The two biggest names in personal growth are stepping in right now to cut through the noise.
That's exactly why Tony Robbins and I are hosting a free virtual AI Advantage Summit on April 23rd through the 25th, where we're bringing together people who are actually using AI in the real world to show you what works. No complexity, no overwhelm, just a clear path to start using AI in your business, your career, and your life. So join us April 23rd, the 24th, the 25th. Reserve your free seat at AISummitRSVP.com. That's AISummitRSVP.com.
This is Dr. Laurie Santos from the Happiness Lab. As a happiness expert, I know that mindfulness isn't just about meditation. It's also about being present with your choices. And for me, present at mealtime. That's why I choose Dietz & Watson. They're a family-owned and operated business, and they never cut corners. Ever. I use their chicken sausage with no added hormones in my family recipes. Dietz & Watson have been handcrafting meats and cheeses for over 85 years. They know that good taste doesn't need a long list of ingredients. They're totally transparent about what goes into their food and what doesn't. And that's why their meats and cheeses taste so great. They stick to what matters, using the fewest, highest quality ingredients to craft their meats and cheeses. Because that's how they've always done it. If you want a more mindful meal, check out Dietz & Watson. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing. Since 1939. Visit DietzandWatson.com/therightway to learn more about the Dietz difference. That's DietzandWatson.com/therightway.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Let's talk about modern home shopping. It's sort of become a fun side hobby, right? Scrolling listings at night, dreaming about kitchens you've never seen, or backyards you haven't even stepped foot in, all from the comfort of pretty much anywhere. Redfin knows a lot of people like you want to own, but are stuck in this browsing mode loop. That's where Redfin flips the script. With listings that update within minutes and tours you can book right from the Redfin app, you can see your dream home the moment it appears. Now, liking a listing is easy, but actually landing it, that's where Redfin comes in. Redfin has over 2,200 agents with local expertise. And Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. That means they want to help you win, not just window shop. Redfin is built to help you go from just looking to wait, this could actually be home. So become the newest neighbor on the block. Visit redfin.com to start finding and start owning. That's redfin.com.
Which this then leads me to my next question. Can depressive coping skills and patterns be passed down to daughters through model behavior. Meaning, let's say my mother's depressed, but I'm not depressed, but I learned to behave like a depressed person because I'm picking up her patterns.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's in the study.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. When I went into the study, I thought like mothers were going to be socializing their daughters and telling them to be strong Black women to survive America and to do this. But many of the mothers did not talk about that. They didn't talk to them about being strong Black women. Everything they saw was modeled.
Yes.
And so if you talk about coping behaviors, you saw your mother eat, you saw your mother work, you saw your mother shop, you saw your mother argue, fighting.
Yes.
This is what you thought was correct, and that's how you cope. And so absolutely it can be passed down just by modeling.
Right. So does that mean that the daughter is depressed? Imagine somebody is blind, but I'm not blind. Or let's say somebody is deaf. I'm not deaf, but all I do is use sign language. But I actually can hear, but I never learned to hear because I'm not in a hearing environment because my mother is deaf. So how do you then differentiate? To me, what I hear is cutting the emotional umbilical cord from my mother, where her identity is this and mine is that. To know like, oh, this isn't who I am. I learned this from her, but it also was her depression. So I'm repeating depressive habits.
In young adulthood, when my participants talks about this phenomenon where they had a life episode and then they used their coping skills that they knew. And when they realized it didn't work, they went and got help. And so I think being able to separate, that was one of the key areas that late adolescence, early adulthood time, when they realized what I learned and how I cope is not going to get me the results that I think it's going to get me. So I need to learn something different. And so when we talk about cutting the umbilical cord, I think that's probably the beginning of the severing between what I've seen and what I know to be true and what I want for myself.
Interesting. I started therapy at 19, still at Virginia State. Because first I was about to say, well, that didn't happen to me. But I was like, yes, it did. You did. Like I saw what I was doing wasn't working. I don't even know how I came to know, oh, you should go to therapy. I don't even know where it came from. But you are right. Because that is where it started for me. It's just been a long time coming.
Yeah.
But I did start there.
So also what's interesting too is that the women in the study also were able to highlight an other mother. So there's this concept in Black feminist theory. It talks about other mothers. These are women who show up for you when your mother cannot mother. It's an African, I guess we brought this over from Africa. These are some of our kinship ways where you got an auntie, a woman in the community, a grandmother, someone who shows up for you in a way that when your mother cannot. And so these women and how they manage life became more like a role model to women. And so when you did have this identity, I would say your coping crisis that you had when you were in young adulthood and you used what you knew, you also had these other women in your life to model something different. I want to be a different way. So even when we talk about this idea of the intergenerational passing of depression or these I would like to say poor coping. So when we think about depression, and let me give my caveat, I am not a clinician. Your girl is a researcher. And so with that, I want to say that there are people who have actual depressive symptoms. But the thing about my study was that when I screened Black women, I didn't necessarily just ask for the typical DSM-5 diagnostic depression symptoms. I looked at Black women exhibit a specific high functioning form of depression that we use hallmark coping skills to be able to identify. So I screened and asked Black women, did your mother do these things in addition to some of these other things? But I highlighted the overeating, the shopping, the somatic pain, the hoarding.
My mother is a hoarder.
Hoarding. See, that's something that came out in the literature as well. Many of the daughters talks about how their mothers were hoarders of things. And when I dug a little deep into research, because I'm a nerd, I realized that with hoarding, you get a dopamine hit off of that.
Yeah.
And so when you're buying stuff, you're getting these micro hits because your brain needs this because you're depressed, my mom. So instead of you getting you some Lexapro, something that's going to help you, you're getting it in the way you can. And that's always been with Black women. Black women have had to figure it out because life is still happening. So if you go get you a dopamine hit, whether you get you some ice cream, you get you a dopamine hit because you get you some, you get your dopamine hits where you
Go
can.
buy some coffee cups. My mother had about 50 coffee cups.
I'm not going to talk about the people in my family, but just say my mama like kitchen utensils.
Listen.
From Tuesday morning.
What you say? My mother is a hardcore thrifter.
Oh.
So for her, not only can she buy things, she can say, oh, I only spent $10.
Oh, yes.
Like,
and
that's a big one.
That's the thing. So because mothers are like, oh, look at this. This was $5. Well, $5 over 500 things, ma'am.
You put with the Macy's.
And then you talk about, oh, I ain't got nowhere to put my
Nothing.
I need somebody to come help me clean it up, ma'am.
And it's interesting because my mother was a compulsive shopper. And when she would work, she worked nights, right? When I was in high school, she worked at the prison. If trash went out on Thursday, Wednesday night, I would go through the house and start to put bags of things to throw them out. They weren't trash. It was just an excess of things, excess of clothes. But she never knew anything was being removed because she was so quickly replacing things. Wow. So my life became how to sneak stuff out of the house so we would have space. And when I look at that now, I'm like, that probably shouldn't have been my focus at 15 and 16 years old.
But you also were able to recognize that there's something wrong in my environment and I can do my part. I can do my part and I'm stepping into a different role.
Yeah.
Whether that is some women are protectors of their mothers, some women, I do this for my mom, or some women like...
I was that too, because I'm confrontational and my mother's an avoider. So if there was any beef with a neighbor, grass getting cut, anything like that,
it was you.
I was the one. I've been the one since I was 12 or 13. I'm coming through that. I mean, I was a parentified child, and I think that is a part of survival. It wasn't like, and I didn't think of it being wrong. I was just a feisty, outgoing girl. And it worked when it was in her favor.
Girl.
But when that same thought process put her in a corner, I was disrespectful.
Absolutely.
I was disrespectful then, you know what I'm saying?
And I got my lips popped a couple times.
I got a couple.
And I got those baby scars too on my face. But
so I think, learning that, I do think, I thought that I wasn't a person who saw something different, but I did, because I did go to therapy. And the women who are listening, they're choosing a methodology to manage their life outside of what their mother did. So, okay, awesome. How does growing up with a perceivably depressed mother shape the way daughters step into the strong Black woman role? I think we touched on this a little bit, but anything else?
We embrace it early, and it's hard to shape when you're older. Because honestly, a part of our identity too is tied into the fact that we could take care of ourselves and we could do it.
Yeah.
And that we don't have to feel the vulnerability. And so I got me. And there's an arrogance that comes to that.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's hard to shake it.
But we're also applauded for it.
We are.
That's the other thing.
We are.
The validation comes from how little you ask for.
So it's just like our mothers on the flip side.
Yes.
We're setting ourselves up when we hold, don't get it twisted. I am a strong and I'm a Black woman. But being a strong Black woman, that title means that I cannot put it down.
Yes.
Now, me recognizing my strength, I also recognize my limitations and my weaknesses. And I have to recoup. But being a strong Black woman and holding firm to what we know to be and not remixing that or remixing your idea as to what a strong Black woman is, it's set up for depression.
Yeah.
Every single time.
So does living up to the strong Black woman trope make us vulnerable to becoming depressed?
Absolutely. Okay. I believe so. Now, once again, I'm not a clinician. But from my own personal experience and just even looking into the study, when you identify with there's no help, that I have to do it all by myself, that I can't show weakness. But when you ascribe to these things, it does not allow you to be the full range of being a human. And so you are able to compartmentalize, you are disassociating just to be able to move through, to be able to say, I'm a strong Black woman and I have it. Mm-hmm. That is a setup for depression. It's a setup. It is a setup.
So what about when the women say, well, what else am I supposed to do? That they feel like they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Because now they're saying they have evidence. Well, nobody is there for me. I have to do it by myself. But depression is over here. How do they shift?
So let's think about it this way. It's always been on us. Mm-hmm. And the thing that we are missing today, which many of our grandmothers and women before us had, was community. Community and friendships are a buffer and a protective factor for depression in Black women.
Say it again. Community is a buffer.
Yes.
To depression for Black women.
Mm-hmm. Community. So, listen, I went to get my hair done every 2 weeks at private quarters in Tallahassee. Shout out to you, Miss Brenda, who did a mean French roll. But to see those Black women in there every 2 weeks, to be in the salon culture, to go to church and to see the women in the church, a lot of that was our mothers holding on to community and to doing things that
their buffer.
That was their buffer.
Oh, that's good. That is really good.
Community.
Because like I was saying before, I didn't grow up with community. And it took me creating this community. It is my buffer. Even when I'm recording sitting in the room by myself. It's an outlet for me, even being able to read back the comments, the emails, like, oh, I'm not by myself.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with being a daughter of depression, right? Because we're taught to not tell our business, but this is a core part of our experience and how we see ourselves. To be able to speak it, there was so much freedom in writing this dissertation. Number one, my mama cussed me out when I first told her that I was going to do this topic because she thought that I was coming at it from a place of
talking bad
about her.
And it's going to be written down.
Do you know, on the day of my defense, when we were during COVID, so it was online, my mama couldn't even turn the camera on. She was crying so bad, and she was so proud of me. And the reason being is because I freed her. And I freed me to be able to talk about not only have I had these experiences with depression, number one, I'm genetically predisposed, but also I done been through some things. And so I have to have grace with myself and to have a community around me that love and show up and support me so that when I possibly can slip into these spaces, that I have an army of people that's going to be around me and I don't have to feel shame about what I'm going through.
I can see how that would heal her because she thought she was less than. But when she saw you, she didn't think you were less than and you had the same experiences. So now she can see herself differently. Like, oh, well, maybe I saw myself incorrectly because here my daughter is mirroring me and I see her as a full person. I think that's beautiful. I love that. And that's also why I say sharing kills shame.
It does.
Sharing kills shame.
It does.
Absolutely. I love that. What emotional patterns did you see repeating across generations of Black mothers and daughters? Emotional patterns.
I would say the emotional pattern of the lack of vulnerability.
That is, I think that might be number one, number two, and number three.
Because weakness, to be seen as weak. And when you were down, it was like, I'm going to get up. It was like you don't have the space and the humanity to be low. And even if you are low, you got to put your makeup on. Yeah. You're going to fish and lay your wig and you're going to walk out and brave the world. But on the inside, you're dying.
Yeah. And I always say healing your mother wound is about creating safety within yourself. And without safety, you cannot have vulnerability.
So, you know, it's interesting when you say healing the mother wound, because as I was writing this dissertation and everything that was happening, I was healing my mother wound in the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I wanted to understand it. Because when you have a mother who has depression, at some point when I was little, I thought it was me. I thought I was too much because she was very irritable. But she would go from being irritable, then depressed, and then she'd come back out and she'd be good. Dude, I had the best birthday parties. I had a 9.5 birthday party because my birthday is in the winter. Oh, she rented out a whole, like, happy trails. I had horseback riding, everything. So it was like this dichotomy I had within myself. But as I was going through the program, reading all of the articles, listening to the interviews, I was able to heal my mother wound and have more understanding for her and be able to fix my perspective to see that she was trying.
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, that's all we want to see. We're not
Just a little
looking
bit.
for permission, like perfection. We're just looking that you can acknowledge my lived experience.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I don't mean you any harm. Like, but I am really making a concerted effort. I think that goes a long way. I always say that about parenting. Your kids are not looking for perfection. They just want to know that you're trying to do better.
Yeah.
And that you're taking in the consideration.
Now, don't get it twisted. There was times where...
Get it.
No contact. You ain't acting your best. And I don't want to be disrespectful.
Right.
So let me take my silence. But I also had to recognize her humanity in those moments where she really was trying. And coming against the fact of she's been conditioned in a way that I haven't.
Right.
But that took maturity on my behalf as well.
Well, that's why I always tell my students, my clients, our mother is a rotary phone. We are iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Yeah.
So the expectation of mother is like the expectation of God. She can do all things, but all she can do is pick up. She can't even click over. She can't even click over, and she got to stay in the kitchen with the phone.
She made it the extended cord and could walk a little bit.
We didn't have that, though. Yeah. We had a cord. We had that curly cord in the kitchen on the wall. So, and we have a phone we can take anywhere. You can see a person. You can conference. You can do all of these things. And there is a level of, I don't know, it's like emotional obsolescence, because I always look at us as human beings, our technology, you know, and how we are built with a different system that can be updated.
Yeah.
And their system is not the same system that can be updated. I'm always saying, you can't take it personally because it's really not about you. Now, that doesn't mean people aren't accountable.
That's a fact.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like how you said, you thought it was about you.
Yeah.
For us to come to know, oh, it's not me.
It's freeing.
That in and of itself is freeing, because then that's when we can individuate. And I can say, I'm a full person. You're a full person. And that is what growing up is. And that's what having authority in your own life is, because the mother wound is a lack of authority.
Yeah.
So in doing this work, you gain your authority, right? And I think there are lots of different ways to do that. And so I love having you here. Now, let me ask you this. Black women can use education as a coping.
Called out. They got out.
So how do we, I mean, this is just pressing the question, and how, you know, our gaining of accreditations, again, it's like the food and the religion. It can be a great thing, but it also can be a crutch.
So this is my thing, right? Because Black women, we're amazing. And we're intelligent, and we are systems thinkers. Yes. I would say, when you're going and pursuing your education, do you have a goal? Because sometimes you just doing stuff to do stuff. Oh, I want to take a certification. Oh, does this go past 5 years? Like, how does this tie into your life plan? Sis, you don't need no more debt. You know what I'm saying? You don't need no more debt. Like, you don't need another hyphen, because with some abbreviations behind your name, you are already enough. But one thing that I see, one of my mentors told me, because I was like, I would never get another PhD. Let me tell you something. I ain't going back to school. You can't pay me to do that thing again. But I said something. I said, oh, I might go get me a master in public health. This will really help what I got going on. She said, girl. She said, I don't know why this happens with Black women, that they want to get more degrees and things like that. But you know what it was? She said, you got to learn to partner with people. You got to learn to work with other people who have your degrees.
You don't have to know everything.
You don't have to know everything. And so that freed me in knowing like, okay, I don't have to have every credential, every skill, every this. I need to learn how to be in a community.
Again, the C word.
Community of women who have the skills and we can come together and work together.
That is good. And that also is a way to gut check yourself and say, oh, am I doing this because after 5 o'clock, I can't stand the quiet. I can't stand the noise in my head. So I'm going to join a class. What is it? That's good. That's a sidebar. That's not even on topic. That's just something because I already know how we get down.
But I will say that Black women learning, reading, being knowledgeable, it is a protective factor with our brains, with dementia. Our brains are always active. We can get off the scrolling, pick up a book. I always say better yourself. Always better yourself. But when you are saying, oh, well, I'm getting this degree, or I'm getting, and you're thinking that is making
it's a part of your value.
Yeah, no.
Nobody, never, ever would I do that. But what?
I have a bachelor's. I can't even go back for a simple certificate. My brain can't hold nothing else. Because you see everything it has taken in me just to set this up today.
I love school. I love to learn. I do. But you have to say, like, at some point, like, let me work with what I got.
You better. But you know what? To work with what you have, there has to be a sense of enoughness, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there has to be a sense of enoughness. Yeah. So if that's the question, then you need to do another type of work where you're establishing, oh, I'm enough.
But you know what? I want to say this part, too. Because Black women in leadership positions, we are often more educated, more credentialed, have more experience than our counterparts that they may bring in. So I understand on the flip side of Black women who are trying to take care of themselves and rise, why you feel like you have to stack your plate with certain things. And I'm not saying don't do that, but if you think that stacking your plate is going to make you more valuable, not you're stacking your skills, then that's the distinction between
stacking skills is big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And community. If you're avoiding community, that's a red flag.
Red flags.
That's, And what are your skills? Don't have to be the degree, but what are yours? Because a lot of the skills that I have that have helped me are not skills that taught in the school.
First of all, Jennifer, you got so you're too many. No, you don't have too many. You have an eclectic gumbo of skills that work for your benefit.
They do.
You're a gumbo.
I am a gumbo. But it's exhausting, and you talking about community is really something because I learned all the things I know because I didn't think it was okay not to know and ask somebody else.
Yeah. It starts with mama.
You know what I mean? So that's really what happened because my mother did everything herself. So it was like no one else, the message is no one's coming.
Yeah.
But I didn't call anybody and invite them.
You didn't call. I'm so happy. Breakthrough.
Even me, even when I decided with season 3, I wanted to do interviews. And first I was like, okay, I'm going to reach out. And I'm still doing that to like just other people I don't know. And then it was like, bitch, you know people. You know some people. I almost didn't ask because I was like, nobody's going to want to do that. Nobody's going to, like, I'm just being honest though. Like, but that is how we see it. Like, will they take me serious?
Since we have been talking about this for 6 years, since the pandemic, about somebody taking you serious.
I know, but you know what? I'm going to tell you what has been the biggest thing for me because I need evidence. I am a concrete person, even though I'm super woo-woo and super fairy in the clouds. I'm also very concrete. Yeah. And I'm very appreciative to me staying with the podcast and doing the work because I have actual numbers. Like I can't trust myself because if I go off of myself, I will say, this isn't anything. There's so much more. It could be better. Nobody's going to take me serious. But the sheer repetition of it and being able to see certain successes are the things that have been able to ground me to where it's like, I'm scared to ask, but I'm gonna go ahead and send the email. I'm gonna see. That's crazy that we've been talking about that for that long.
I'm just saying, like, the work that you're doing with Black Mother Wound, this is a niche part of the internet, which is, I believe, is so necessary because we think about the reach that Black women have, and we think about what we touch. We not only are touching, like, our workplace, we're touching our children's children, we're in the community. Understanding your relationship with your mother, that's your primary relationship. And my background is in family science and human development. And so I look at, we talk about attachment styles. We talk about those first couple of years with you being able to identify whether or not your mother was going to be there consistently shapes you. But the Black mother wound in particular, when we talk about how our mothers shape us and they're there for us, yes, they provide for us, but have they been taught or have the emotional range that we need to feel comfort and security and love when on fire on their back? I always say this mantra. I say, Black women are going up the rough side of the mountain with no shoes on, holding their worlds on their back and the worlds of the women before them.
The rough side of the mountain.
Rough side. And so
with a smile.
And they're expected to do it with a smile. Yes.
And on time for work.
Yes.
No sweat.
No sweat. And so when we're in community with one another, we understand that and we can give each other ease and we also can validate one another.
Yeah.
And so this work that you're doing is very important.
Thank you.
Because without understanding your mother wound, it's hard for you to be a good girlfriend, a good friend, and be in community with other women.
To do anything.
Relationship.
It all comes back to that. The very first love, the very first relationship we've ever had. Coming back to that is, I'm convinced that's where freedom for us is. That's why I say, I've never met a Black woman who don't have a mother wound. Now, you can say whatever you want to say. Y'all can still get along and go out to Golden Corral on Sundays and talk every night and everything. Well, I grew up in the country, in Orion's, all of that. I grew up at Sizzler.
You went to Sizzler.
Yeah, I grew up at Sizzler around the corner from C and Adams Street Church of God in Christ. Okay. Back then, Kentucky Fried Chicken was fancy because I got a parfait. My daddy wouldn't let me get a parfait. I digress. But yeah, I think that is where freedom for us is understanding the relationship and how we have been socialized by the relationship with our mothers and where that comes from. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
If you're feeling uneasy about AI, you're not alone. But what comes next could define your future.
I'll be honest, I'm a little scared about AI, not for the reason you might think. Hey, it's Dean Graziosi, and what concerns me the most isn't the technology. It's how many good people are going to miss what this actually can do for their life and their business. Right now, AI can save you hours every week, simplify your work, and create opportunities that didn't exist just months ago. But if you try to figure out alone, it's overwhelming. Too many tools, too much noise, and no clear path. And that's where most people stop.
But this time you don't have to figure it out alone. Two of the most trusted voices in personal growth are stepping in.
That's exactly why Tony Robbins and I are hosting a free virtual AI Advantage Summit on April 23rd through the 25th to bring together experts who are actually using AI in the real world and showing you how to do the same in a simple, practical way. Instead of feeling behind, you'll finally feel clear and confident. Reserve your free seat at AISummitRSVP.com. That's AISummitRSVP.com.
Don't let fear make you miss the moment. Reserve your free seat at AISummitRSVP.com and step into your future.
This is Dr. Laurie Santos from the Happiness Lab. As a happiness expert, I know that mindfulness isn't just about meditation. It's also about being present with your choices. And for me, present at mealtime. That's why I choose Dietz & Watson. They're a family-owned and operated business, and they never cut corners. Ever. I use their chicken sausage with no added hormones in my family recipes. Dietz & Watson have been handcrafting meats and cheeses for over 85 years. They know that good taste doesn't need a long list of ingredients. They're totally transparent about what goes into their food and what doesn't. And that's why their meats and cheeses taste so great. They stick to what matters, using the fewest, highest quality ingredients to craft their meats and cheeses. Because that's how they've always done it. If you want a more mindful meal, check out Dietz & Watson. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing. Since 1939. Visit DietzandWatson.com/therightway to learn more about the Dietz difference. That's deetzandwatson.com/therightway.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Let's talk about modern home shopping. It's sort of become a fun side hobby, right? Scrolling listings at night, dreaming about kitchens you've never seen, or backyards you haven't even stepped foot in, all from the comfort of pretty much anywhere. Redfin knows a lot of people like you want to own, but are stuck in this browsing mode loop. That's where Redfin flips the script. With listings that update within minutes and tours you can book right from the Redfin app, you can see your dream home the moment it appears. Now, liking a listing is easy, but actually landing it, that's where Redfin comes in. Redfin has over 2,200 agents with local expertise. And Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. That means they want to help you win, not just window shop. Redfin is built to help you go from just looking to wait, this could actually be home. So become the newest neighbor on the block. Visit redfin.com to start finding and start owning. That's redfin.com.
How can daughters center their own healing and lived experience while also working to have a relationship with their mother who may be struggling with depression? Like, how do you hold someone accountable? You want to love them, be there for them, but you risk more harm. And you're trying to make steps forward and not take steps back because of the relationship.
First, I believe that you have to know your boundaries. Knowing your boundaries and centering your expectations of actually what this could be. So wanting to have a relationship with your mother is natural. That's just the God honest truth. However, when you're depending on where your mother is falling in her awareness or acceptance of how her depression or how her actions have impacted you, that's going to determine how you show up. So if you have a mother who is in the very beginning stages and she is in the denial phase, then you know if I bring it up, she denies it, then guess what? Adjust my expectations of what this means. Now I can say this. If you are starting to reconnect with a relationship with your mother, you need to have a licensed therapist, mental health counselor, someone that has access to really help you unpack that, because it's going to begin to unearth some emotions. So I remember when my mom and I, when we were in the beginning stages, I remember I said something, she denied it, and I hit the roof saw red. Ooh. I was big mad, baby. I was big mad. I was so mad that I backed up into her car. I didn't even see her car behind me. I was that mad. And I knew then that I had to get some help because it hit a core wound inside of me to not be heard. And for what I was saying to not be validated. And so this is what I mean by your boundary and having someone really help you to establish what those are, having a plan. Because you got to think, if somebody come at you and tell you you're doing something wrong, you're going to be defensive. Hold on, wait a minute, especially when it's something that you thought that you were doing right and you did the best that you could with what you had, whether that was knowledge, resources, and I kept you alive. And even just, I also want you to have some perspective and perspective shifting. Like, look at it from the other side of the table. Take into consideration your mother's background, where she grew up, who raised her, what happened during that time. What was going on in the community? Put all of these factors together. And so when you do get that denial or that reaction, you have to understand where it's coming from. Because I think a lot of times with the knowledge that we have, we project our expectations that we want our mothers to be able to understand all this therapy. And we done read Oprah magazine. I read all of Iyanla Van Zant books when I was a little girl. So I've been talking about being in the valley, being in the meantime, a long time. And so we have a certain level of emotional maturity and awareness about our mental health that our mothers just don't have the freedom to have, and having compassion. And so your boundaries help you to be able to shape how far you gonna go, but that compassion keeps you wanting to come back and try again, because your mother is moving through a lot more blocks than you are to be able to say, something's wrong. There's something wrong with my mind, or I did not do right by you, or I realized that I could have been a better parent, but I had all of this going on. I didn't know how to manage it.
Now, that's if you can get a parent to admit and acknowledge those things.
That's on the tail end, because don't think me and Cheryl, girl, no. This is about how many years it took us. We about to get 14, 15 now. This isn't something that happened overnight. Absolutely not. There have been struggles, knockout, dragouts. We ain't been fighting, but like there have been ego struggles. There have been hurt feelings on both sides. There have been things that were said out of anger and frustration because I don't have the language. I didn't have the emotional language because I didn't learn it. She didn't have the emotional language because she didn't learn it. So somebody has to go and get the tools to be able to thus bring it back. And just how our mothers model behaviors for us, we then in turn take on a parentified role and model those behaviors that we want to see, if she can accept them.
If she can accept them with your boundaries.
With your boundaries. And if she can't accept them and it's going to do more harm than good, then guess what? Push out that boundary a little bit more. But I will say, don't stop trying in a place that's healthy.
What do you mean?
So your mom may be in a denial phase today, and life happens. You get that diagnosis. Life becomes real. Because I think a lot of times our parents, they're not thinking, I think people in general, me, I don't think that my life could end today. You know, God willing, that something happens to me. But when you get the news or that mortality seeps in, that they shift. And if your mother reaches out, because as hard as it is, like you said, we talked off camera about just your mama just opening the letter.
She ain't not going to open.
But if she reaches out and she's opened that letter.
Right.
Do you close the door? Because you've only wanted her to acknowledge you.
That is true.
And if she had to do it on her time in a way that she felt like, I can accept that I did these things. I can look at it.
I think all of us, because we've given our mother so many opportunities, we don't want to not have a relationship with her. So I think having that acknowledgement, like the door don't have to be open. If the door was unlocked, to be able to say, oh, she left the door unlocked, I can credit her for that.
Life has a way of making you soft. For some women, for some women, their pride can be softened by life, and it could be the smallest thing. I just ask as daughters, because you got to understand, the family lives on through us. And like, despite what people say,
it lives on through
us. And you will want to have that conversation on this side of living than the other, because it's a lot harder to come to terms with it. So if the door is open, I'm not saying to do anything that is going to put your mental, emotional, physical safety at harm. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is having a space in your heart for compassion, to understand exactly who your mother is as a woman, because it's a difference.
Yes.
Understand her as a woman and have the ability to have compassion when she musters up the courage to look at her creation and say, I could have done something different despite what was going on in my life. That's what I mean.
I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I know some people aren't there.
No.
But I think it is something to take and tuck away, to hold, because the more you do your own healing around the mother wound, the more you humanize yourself, grace comes automatically.
It does.
But you can't give the grace as a performance, or as an obligation.
No, it ain't gonna work.
That's why I say, you gotta center because they're gonna cut you. Yes,
you're gonna turn up, and it's gonna go left.
Yeah. So you have to focus on yourself first, and then in that, you then begin to say, because you also, I tell y'all this, you realize where you are the predator.
Yep.
You realize where you've been the villain in your own life with your kids, with your partner. And you're like, this is hard to stop. This is hard to manage. So, but you have to become aware of that first. And I feel like then automatically, like I say, I haven't talked to my mother in 10 years. I'm not mad at her. I can laugh. I would love to have any type of relationship with her. But I also understand she doesn't owe me anything. Yeah. As a woman, even as a mother, I'm not in prison. I'm not on drugs. I can't say I'm here. You know what I mean? But I think it is, you have to first, the grace and the compassion comes naturally. Once you start to give yourself the grace and compassion.
Yeah.
Then you can see it in her. So I think that answers my last question, because it talks about where we can start to break those patterns. And it's with the grace and compassion and vulnerability and community.
Let me tell you something. When I was getting my PhD, child, and I realized that I was a strong Black woman. I'm doing this work now. Let me tell you how I could see myself. I'm doing this work. I'm doing this work. And I'm like, these strong Black women. And I was like, hold on, sis. Wait a minute. You're a strong Black woman. Somebody asked me, can I help you? No, I got it. I'm good. And so this whole thing about seeing myself, for seeing ourselves, and being able to see Cheryl and me. And why I took on certain roles to survive. So the grace that I had to have for myself to say, I really want to ask for help, but I really can't stomach the disappointment of what happens when somebody doesn't show up. So what I'm going to do is ask anyways, be prepared to do it on my own, but I'm going to take a leap of faith and ask anyways.
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself and I'm going to give somebody else the grace and compassion, because I'm making up a whole story. I got a whole story.
And I believe it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it forever.
Yeah. And I haven't been giving people the grace and compassion. And so, yeah, it starts with, you can't change your mama. I can't change Cheryl. No. But what I can do is change me, and I can change how I show up. And how I show up is rooted in, I know who she is as a woman, who raised the time frame that she was raised, the circumstances. And that gives me a different perspective in how she shows up in my life. And it allows me some compassion, because there's a lot of teaching that happens between us.
Yeah.
She teaches me and I'm teaching her at this phase of my life. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm trying. We trying.
We're doing more than trying.
Shout out to my old girl. Mom, I love you. You know my boo. Big C.
Okay. I've loved this conversation.
I know.
Thank you for coming.
I'm
proud of you. Thank you so much, baby. Same to you. So this kind of wraps up our conversation.
Well, I would like to tell them.
Absolutely. Come on back with it.
So I'm going to be opening up my study again. I'm a professor at HBCU. And
Virginia State. That's where I went.
Okay. So I'll be opening up my study, Daughters of Depression. Again, you can go to my website, www.daughtersofdepression.com.
It'll be
and
on
you
the screen.
can sign up. I am going to be opening up to women from all over the United States. I want to hear your stories. Your stories are safe with me. But as you tell me your story, I'm able to find out what's truly the lived experiences, and so that our daughters can have a different experience.
I'm signing up. This is a very active community.
They gonna sign up?
They gonna sign up.
Busy.
I'm gonna put the link in the show notes so you all can sign up, because this is very important work. The research on the mother wound is all white women.
Yes.
The research on mental health is white people. That's why I do this work, so we can have work for us, because it's not the same. So here we need this data. We need the data on us for generations to come, because we're so unrepresented in research. We're here, but we're not being accounted for.
And so your story, like you telling me your story, it has the ability to ripple in all different aspects. It ripples. It talks about how we, with our finances, with our health, with our parenting, just your story alone helps me to understand ACEs. I know, have you ever heard of the adverse childhood experiences? This would be considered an ACE, but it's a very culturally specific ACE. So the more we as researchers have access to the true stories that are happening, the ones where, because we have lived it as cultural insiders, we know the questions to ask, to be able to take your story and extrapolate what our experiences are so that we can create interventions to be able to heal our families, keep our families together.
For us. By us.
Boo-boo.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love it for us. Listen. How y'all like season 3 so far?
Girl, I'm so proud of you. I can't wait.
Look, I love y'all so much. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I would love to hear your feedback because I think this is such a different conversation than we're used to having, but I think it just expands. It expands it so much. So I really appreciate my boo for being here.
Oh, no problem.
I love y'all dearly. I will see y'all next week, of course. Don't let anybody play in your fucking face.
No.
And we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
The Black Mother Wound Podcast is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network.
The AI shift is here, and your advantage starts now.
You're not going to be replaced by AI, but you might be replaced by someone who knows how to use it. Hey, it's Dean Graziosi, and right now AI is creating one of the biggest opportunities I've ever seen. But most people, they're stuck on trying to figure out where to begin.
That's why Dean and Tony Robbins are stepping in.
We'll show you the tools and the strategies people are already using to work faster, buy back time, grow smarter, and stay ahead.
Reserve your free seat at AISummitRSVP.com. AISummitRSVP.com.
Okay, laundry stinks, literally. I mean, you could just keep buying new underwear. Not that I've ever done that. Or maybe sort your clothes into piles based on how re-wearable or filthy they are. Or just use Arm & Hammer Deep Clean. It's made for real-life stinks and stains. So even if you don't do laundry the, quote, right way, Deep Clean will knock it out. I mean, it is from the #1 liquid detergent brand that tackles more loads than any other. Come clean with Arm & Hammer Deep Clean. #1 claim based on total wash loads sold.
This is Radhi Devlukia from A Really Good Cry. A lot of wellness routines start with motivation and end somewhere between week 2 and a half-used supplement drawer. Grunes was created to make daily nutrition simpler. Instead of pills or chalky green drinks, Grunes packs over 20 essential vitamins and minerals, greens and prebiotics into a snack pack of delicious gummies. It feels approachable and not demanding. The convenient, comprehensive formula supports gut health, beauty, energy, immunity, recovery, and cognition in one daily habit. Grunes contains 6 grams of fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli, and the ingredients in Grunes are backed by 35,000 research publications, which is part of what makes the formula so intentional. Grunes is vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, and made without artificial colors or flavors. Plus, it's methylated, so key nutrients like B12 and folate are in forms your body can actually use. It's comprehensive nutrition designed for routines you can actually stick with. Get up to 52% off with code CRY at grunes.co. That's code CRY at gruns.co.
And now, another mouth-watering recipe from Maricon, the world's finest rice vinegar. How about a Maricon hot chicken sandwich with tangy slaw and pickled cucumbers? It's bold, crispy, and spicy, with chili, garlic, and bright tangy notes. The secret? Maricon genuine brewed rice vinegar. It adds a zesty kick that elevates sauces, marinades, and homemade condiments. Craving sweet and savory? Try Maricon Seasoned Gourmet Rice Vinegar, a flavor bomb delivering perfectly balanced taste. Great for spring vegetables, fresh slaws, and grilled proteins. Maricon has crafted premium rice vinegar in Japan since 1649 and brewed in the U.S. for over 50 years. Next time you're at the market, pick up a bottle of Maricon Genuine Brewed with a green label or Seasoned Gourmet with the orange label. Then check out ricevinegar.com for more delicious recipes. Because the food you love is better with Maricon, the world's finest rice vinegar.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.